Sometimes things just aren't what they seem, and if you're watching this video, you probably should not buy this MacBook. When Apple announced the $1599 MacBook at their event, I was super excited because this is the first time we have such a low price for this new 14-inch design, which I absolutely love. It's actually one of my favorite Pro designs because not only do we have two Thunderbolt ports, but we also have the HDMI and a full-size SD card reader along with MagSafe, which is just so nice to use. Unfortunately though, Apple made a lot of compromises, some which cost them money, to make this machine worse and to try to get you not to buy it, which unfortunately is exactly what I'm gonna do in this video because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now on the outside, it is great. The keyboard is fantastic. We have the Touch ID and the really nice trackpad. And with that, the 6-speaker system sounds phenomenal, better than most Windows laptops, even fat, thick ones. Now the display also has 120Hz ProMotion and 1600 nits XDR, which means it's super bright and beautiful for watching HDR movies and videos. And it is also great for content creators that might be utilizing that display. But it's what's on the inside which starts to ruin things. When Apple showed off the inside design, I immediately noticed the single fan, whereas every other 14-inch MacBook has dual fans built in. And if you didn't know, it actually costs Apple more money than to just use the previous design. Now, yes, the previous 13-inch M2 MacBook Pro also had a single fan, but that machine didn't hit 108 degrees Celsius in simple testing, and the fan didn't run as loud because the new M3 chip, even with its nice 3nm design, runs a lot more power. And because of that, when we compared it to the M2 Pro 14-inch, the single fan was running super high and loud compared to silent on the M2 Pro. And the crazy thing is that M2 Pro machine has gone as low as $1,600, just like the M3 version, but it has more CPU power and a lot more graphics power as well. So even though it uses more wattage and puts out more heat, it doesn't struggle because of its dual fan design. Now you might say that you don't care about a system running hot and loud, but that is only the beginning of the differences. But first, I've got to show you guys the best gift for the holiday season, the Ridge wallet. It's the thinnest wallet that holds up to 12 cards plus cash with over 30 durable colors and styles and RFID blocking with a lifetime guarantee. You can even get 30% off if you buy a matching key case, which holds up to 6 keys without jingling. So shop the holiday sale at ridge.com/maxtech and get up to 30% off through December 20th and use my link for a chance to win a Ridge bundle worth $4,000. Thanks Ridge for sponsoring the channel. So if we compare the M3 14-inch for $1,600 to the previous 14-inch models, not only do we have that single fan difference, but we also have a difference in HDMI and display outputs. The M2 Pro can support 8K 60, 4K 120 outputs, so it's more powerful, and with that, the M3 model is limited to just one single display, which was fine with an M1 MacBook Air or the cheaper machines, but on this one, that is just another limitation. Now with that, it also only comes with 8 GB of RAM. And in the past, we've had a lot of Apple apologists say, hey, a MacBook Air is not for pros, or even the M2 Pro is not for pros. And that might make sense a little bit at the lower end, but this is a pro level machine. And in 2023, pretty much 2024, having 8 gigs just does not make sense. With the first Apple Silicon M1 chips, it didn't matter that much because even though they were fast, they were not being limited. But with the M2, we started to get some limitations, and now with the M3, we see significant ones. Now, of course, you can spend $200 more and upgrade to 16 gigs, which is exactly what we did, and we made a full comparison. And here, not only do you have much slower performance just running one tab task with nothing else opened, and that right there proves the difference with just RAM that we didn't see in the past. But once you open up some simple web browsing tabs, this 8 gig system starts to slow down, whereas the 16 gig doesn't at all. And then if you care about multitasking, the 8 gig version ends up being 2.5 times slower than with nothing opened, where the 16 gig doesn't change at all. And then looking at the M2 Pro that you can get discounted, that thing is even faster. That is why we should not have 8 gigs in a system like this. And of course, if you upgrade, you're at $1,800, but the problem is Apple doesn't want you to. And to prove that, if you look at their next up configuration for the M3, it stays with 8 gigs and then you just get 1 terabyte of storage, which of course you can always add an external storage drive to your Mac, or you can use cloud storage, but you can never upgrade your RAM. And the sad thing is, people that need a machine quickly, either online or going into a store, cannot get 16 gigs. They're gonna buy 8 gig versions that are limited. Now, of course, some people will say, well, not everybody that's buying this $1,600 machine is a pro. They don't care about performance. But I would say you can say that for one of the MacBook Airs, but if you're buying this machine, you should care. And honestly, I think that if somebody is looking at this machine, the only people that should buy it are those that want this newer design with the extra ports, but are mainly doing email and watching videos and listening to music on the nice screen and speakers. And the reason why I said that if you're watching this video, you should not buy this machine, that's because you obviously care about getting a good value. So for $200 more, you can get an M3 Pro that is significantly faster. It's faster in CPU performance. It is much faster in graphics performance, especially if you can use the ray tracing cores. And in overall performance, it could be more than twice as fast for an extra $400 or just $200 if you are gonna be upgrading your RAM, which realistically you should with the M3 chip. And the thing you really have to think about is that most people that buy a MacBook, they keep their machine for 5 to 6 years. Or if you're into heavy productivity, the average is 2 to 3 years. So that difference in price of about $200 really is nothing in the grand scheme of things and the value that you end up getting. And if you really can't spend more than $1,600, you can get an M2 Pro that is pretty much better in almost every way. Or if you don't care about performance, you might as well get a 15-inch MacBook Air, which not only is thinner, it is lighter, you have a larger display, and the performance of the M2 with 8 gigs is barely slower than the M3 version, and it still has that same limitation with one external display. I would prefer this machine as long as you don't need the absolute best speakers in a small size. They are not as good, but they are still better than most Windows laptops. So even though Apple gave us this M3 machine for $1,600 with the new design, that does not mean that it's a great value. It is literally set up as a stepping stone to upgrade the price to $1,600 from the previous $1,300 for the 13-inch MacBook Pro, while at the same time giving smart consumers the push to end up spending more money on the M3 Pro or the M2 Pro machine, which it does suck to tell you guys to spend more money, but me being a responsible reviewer, that is what I have to tell you guys to do. It is a much, much smarter purchase in pretty much every single way. So we finally have an M3 machine that comes in at a lower price, but even if it seems like it's a better value, it is not. You guys let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Check out the Ridge wallet as well. Click that circle above to subscribe and check out one of those great videos right over there. This has been Max, and I'll see you in the next one.